Hi everyone and welcome to Tanuki Twist. I hope you're doing better than I am. A few weeks ago I was rushed to hospital after a bad fall, where I sat for ages in A&E, spoke with a nurse, was hit in various places with a hammer, and then was given a sexy gown to wear. I was also given some x-rays. More on that shortly. First, I'll tell you how it all happened. So, cast your minds back to Wimbledon season, and all through the land, people were playing impromptu tennis. Now, I've actually played a few times before with Jenny, but then, Jenny went to Italy, so I needed a new partner. And so I roped in Desmond, best known for playing guitar in my band Subtle Nature.
Yeah, so Peter and I are both in the same band, Subtle Nature, and obviously during lockdown, we've all been apart, and we've all been waiting for the opportunity to just get together and make some music. On the morning before going, Peter decided to show me a couple of his moves. He's been playing tennis a little bit, and I've basically never played tennis, so I have no idea what to do.
So that morning we arrived at the courts in full outfits. 5 minutes in and my training was proving to be effective. I was like an Irish Nadal on the court, minus the long hair, Spanish charisma and obvious skill set.
And so we start playing. Now, Peter, actually, he knows what he's doing, he's quite accurate, he's popping those shots off those little lobs and getting points past me, and I'm growing quite frustrated, I want to win, I want to beat this guy.
And so I served. Time slowed down like a movie. Actually, no it didn't. If anything, it kind of sped up. Desmond knew my backhand was proving to be my Achilles, so he went for it once again. This time, determined not to lose a point, I threw my entire body weight into the return. Good news is, I returned the shot and I got the point. Bad news, I twisted and I came down to the ground with a thud, landing almost perfectly on my back, sending shockwaves across the world.
Now, I don't really think much of this, I fall over all the time. I just think he's going to be back up in a couple of seconds and everything's going to be fine. It was the sort of, blink and you'll miss it sort of thing, it wasn't sort of spectacular or anything. But then, clearly, actually, a couple of seconds later, he's not moving, and I think, well, maybe this could be a little bit more serious.
After a few minutes, I managed to haul myself to a bench without throwing up. And then I realized that I couldn't get home. I couldn't move, I couldn't walk, I couldn't dance, I couldn't even stand up properly.
Like, it's still painful, and if anything, it's getting worse, sweat running down his face, and I think, okay, this guy needs some relief now.
So I did the only thing I could think of. The only thing rational in that circumstance. I sent Desmond running.
And so he gives me my marching orders, and I run over to his grandmother's flat, desperately looking for some ibuprofen or something, and I sort of half jog, half walk back to him and give him these tablets, but they don't seem to have any effect. So
I rang NHS 111. I explained what happened and they told me I needed to get to King's College Hospital immediately.
So I run back to his grandmother's flat, this time, running even harder, and get these two masks, and then run back to him. And now I had to get down from the tennis courts to the taxi at the bottom of the hill. Now usually this is a gentle downward slope, but for me it was like Everest. Maybe even Super Everest or Super Everest wearing high heels and a tank top. However, Desmond refused to let me die on that bench, for which I am grateful, and he proceeded to drag me down in his surprisingly strong arms. And then sort of hobbling and leaning on each other, I managed to, get him down to the main road. On arrival at the hospital, we received the attention of paramedics almost immediately, who went off on a rescue mission to find me a wheelchair. However, due to the COVID restrictions, Desmond was unable to come in with me. So whilst I was wheeled off into the bowels of the hospital, he was left outside holding tennis rackets and balls in an unfamiliar location without his mobile phone or bank cards. Now, I don't actually know how he got back to my grandmother's house from the hospital, but I'm sure it's a tale worthy of a Netflix adaptation.
And at this point, you're probably wondering where Jenny is in all of this.
So whilst all this was going on, I was visiting my parents in Italy, swimming in beautiful seas, having a wonderful time. Of course, it's nice to do things with Peter, but sometimes it's good to have a break.
Don't mention breaks.
Sorry.
And so, I was wheeled into A&E and told it would be a long wait. 1 hour became 2 and 2 became 3, because that's how time works, and after almost 4 hours, I was invited in to see the nurse. She asked me to bend over. I couldn't. She asked me what happened. I explained. She checked things, hit me with a hammer, ordered an x-ray, and then gave me a hospital gown to wear. And so I slipped into this sexy little number, breezy like a kilt, but with the added factor of being about as attractive as a bag of onions. And then I made my way to X-ray, wheeled through the hospital like I was a member of the royal family. Yay! Nothing was broken on first glance. I was given steroids, codeine, crutches, a lollipop, a kiss on the cheek, a good luck card, and then I was sent home, feeling stupid, but ultimately resigned that somebody else would have to win Wimbledon this year. The next few days were absolute agony, but at least I knew what the problem was. A slipped disc, or at least I thought it was. 12 days after the initial incident, I'm back in A&E again.
Feeling like the kid in school who has to repeat a grade and as a result knows all the teachers by their first name. I mean, the receptionist remembers me, and I guess that's an honor that's like, you know, reserved for like the dumbest patients. But it's kind of nice anyway.
When I get in, they tell me it's going to be a CAT scan because now they're pretty sure I'm broken. Good news is I get to wear the robe of immeasurable sexiness once again and then lie down on a bench of ridiculous discomfort and await my royal bed pusher to sweep me off into the sunset. When I actually get to the CAT scan, I'm feeling pretty relaxed at this stage because it looks like a big donut. And by this time I'm hungry and I just want to know what's actually wrong with me. It turns out that I have a fracture to vertebrae L1 and it will take me 3 months to recover. Just enough time to start training for next year's Wimbledon.
So now I'm back in London and stuck looking after this bumbling idiot.
No.
Actually, that's quite mean. Could we do another take?
No. Overall, I was actually pretty impressed of how everything went in the hospital. Got to see lots of doctors, nurses, and I mean everything was free, which still kind of blows my mind a bit. But, you know, I had a great time and everything, but I'm going to try not to go back.
And I just want to say a massive thank you to the whole hospital team, as well as Jenny. And of course, to Desmond as well. Not only for taking care of me, but for filling in as lead singer of the band for the upcoming 6 gigs we had scheduled. Yes, I know. I wonder who will play me when this inevitably gets turned into an Oscar-winning movie. I'm going to say either Gary Oldman or Dwayne Johnson, depending on whether they want to focus on my brains or my, natural, raw sexual magnetism.